All right, Pot of Gold, welcome back. Big episode, huge episode. Let's say our fifth most favorite episode of the year, LSU baseball season preview, running it back. The reigning, defending national champions, Jay Johnson, feeling tight out there. What's up? How we doing?
Your favorite pod,
There's
not even your
there's
top five. You're number one.
to preface this, and look, we got a few people already joining the live chat, but for everyone listening out there, every year after we do this pod, my DMs blow up of people like hating on me. I will try to derail this podcast at any moment I can because I have nothing to bring to the table.
Yes,
So
you
I try to
do.
make
Yes,
myself
you
laugh.
do. Yes, you do. You
I was
last
like the
season
best
you
12-year-old
shat
baseball
on us
player.
last season saying he can't we can't make it. We're not going to get to Omaha and we're not going to win this thing. And we rode the jinx and we played that part and we rode the jinx until you fell in love with Thatcher Hurd. But you have insight, dude. You were on the Gators.
Dude, I'm telling you, there were not many more 12-year-old baseball players better than me at one time, maybe 2 decades ago. Yeah, I mean, as soon as everyone got off the bus, literally everyone, Tiger Droppings was a cesspool of this team's not making it out of regionals. That was when I pushed all my chips in. I was like, guys, we're here. And it worked out perfectly. I loved it.
We had a little bit of a tail off towards the beginning or towards the end of SEC play. And that's when you dove in. That's when you hitched your wagon and you said, we're winning this whole damn thing.
I thoroughly enjoyed the run, the Super, Wake Forest, Florida. I'm still not going to be all in weekend by weekend, boys. It's just not.
And you don't need to be for this season. And that's what we're going to dive into here is that we don't, and what we told the team, we don't need to defend anything. That flag's not coming down, right? This is a new year. Forever. This is a new season. And honest, look, this is intern Grant's season, dude. This is like LSU baseball. This is his wild pitch wheelhouse.
Bring back wild pitch. The people are clamoring.
This is Christmas Eve.
This is Christmas Eve. And you know what? We play VMI. And I would like to just call this out, man. I've listened to, and maybe I'm just an absolute idiot and I should know this by heart. I'm just so sick and tired of every radio show I listen to, including Musso. Listen, great statistics, great feedback, great knowledge. But man, can we define who VMI is? I'm sitting here listening oh, we start off with VMI. I've heard VMI so many times. Just say Virginia Military Institute once.
I was really
for the buffoons.
I was really hoping you didn't name it. It just kept going.
Well, I'm just saying that, Grant told it to me today, but it's I'm driving. I don't want to take my phone out and look up, do we have a shot against these people? Who is VMI? I'm sure it's a Virginia. I don't know. I could piece it together, but my God. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent, but that shows you though, how last minute this kind of deep dive and research is, just to preface that.
Still not a lot of coverage out there.
There's not a lot of coverage.
At least not around here. I'm sure Baton Rouge is buzzing, but it's crazy coming off of a national championship and there's just not, I don't know. I feel like I don't know.
We got women's basketball to worry about right now, Grant.
Paul Skeens is gone. Dylan Cruz is gone. The list goes on quality leaders that were coming back, studs that were coming back. And so we could all make the bold predictions going into last year. This is an Omaha team. This is a national championship team. And everyone was riding that wagon before we even threw out the first pitch. So this year is a little different because those expectations are not as high. I think a realistic expectation is I expect Jay Johnson to have the momentum and the talent recruited to make a run to Omaha. That's my expectation is this is an Omaha team. I think a super regional is absolutely something that we should be looking forward to. And anything less than that, it's hosting. Damn, that was, hosting. That's a tough year. I thought would be a little bit better. I feel like super regionals winning that going to Omaha would be that's a great return. Like that's a great follow-up to a national championship that we're not going to get close to 150 home runs or whatever, 40 something home runs. Like it was a ridiculous team, like top draft picks all over the place, including like the very, very top picks. Hard to replace that. So the expectations coming into this need to be more realistic. And I think realistically expecting Omaha is a real possibility.
Well, and Grant, I know this is your pod and I haven't let you jump in yet. I keep jumping in, but the fact is that LSU, I think the floor or the standard every year, no matter rebuilding or stud, should be hosting a super regional. Like you should be one of those top teams. There should be that series in the box every year of who gets to go to Omaha.
Yeah, no, I think not winning a national championship this year is not like, oh, dude, they had a down year. Like they couldn't defend it. It's like, no, I think a really great, successful season would be getting to Omaha. And I think this team has a really good chance to do it on paper.
Yep. I think this year's team is that should be in Omaha. I don't think that this is a rebuilding year by any means. I feel like if anything, this is one of those few times where you see a team that's so great or as great as we were last year. And we've filled the needs that we had from the guys that left.
Well, don't we get like the #1 recruiting class every year? Like, shouldn't we be in a good spot? Like, obviously,
that's the thing, we are. Now, there's other teams. There's other teams that are also like Arkansas does the same thing every year.
Arkansas is a damn good team this year. They've got the dude. They've got the Steens this year. Arkansas.
Yeah,
they've got a guy. But this is the class though. So this past season, this freshman class that's playing right now, they were actually not the #1 overall recruiting class. They were close to it. I think they were top.
They were like 3 or 5
or whatever, top 5. The year before, where the kids are now, some of them draft eligible sophomores like Bear Jones and Paxton Kling. That was that big elite #1 recruiting class where we got guys like Kling and Brady Neal and Jared Jones to come to school. And so now this is their team. Like this is their season to like make their hay, and like so that you group those guys with some veterans like Hayden Travinsky, Thatcher Hurd, Alex Milazzo, guys that were on the team. I mean, Guidry's going to be a big part of this team. And then you return Tommy White. So you've got like national championship guys that are leaders and veterans now to kind of guide that elite freshman class from 2 seasons ago that now is their time to shine. And you're going to depend on their development and their quick adjustment to being the dudes is going to be how far this team goes.
Yep.
Grant.
Well, guys, 8 minutes in, hit us up on Twitter at potofgold@gmail.com, at goldmike, at Grant the intern. Guys in the live chat, hit the like button. Tell your friends. That's all we ask. We're not going to hammer you with ads. Just tell your friends. Hop on in. Your friends. Join the fun.
It was interesting. Our numbers jumped way up there, then everyone got bored. I guess
everyone got out of here when I started talking VMI.
Yeah, they thought you were saying BMI, body mass index. Yeah. Anyway, so let's
a lot of lefties.
Let's dive in on the mound. A lot of lefty. It's kind of different. This is one of the first times I think Jay Johnson said we have 10 guys on the mound, but offensively we don't have the amount of lefties.
Offensively, we might have like 3 in the lineup.
Yeah, I kind of if I got to choose which side of the ball I had more lefties, it would be on the pitching staff.
It's 100%.
Do you want to start with pitchers or you want to start with position groups a little bit?
We can do pitchers. We can do pitchers.
That's a good starting spot.
So before you get into it, let me just give my piece on how I feel like going into this season. I'm a little worried on the starters. Okay, if I had any concerns over LSU's pitchers right now, if I'm being the sour grape in this conversation, Thatcher Hurd came on the scene late last season. Okay, he is a very talented pitcher, but he's widely inconsistent. And
he has absolutely filthy stuff. You just don't know who's showing up.
Exactly. And if you get ace Thatcher Hurd, that's your Friday night guy. But if you get like 80% of Thatcher Hurd's season last year, you're probably getting moved to Saturday or Sunday. You know what I'm saying? So like, which is still good. He's still one of our top 3 pitchers. I truly believe that. Our top 2 pitchers. I think Luke Holman is the guy, is what I'm going to start this off by saying. I think Luke Holman is a Golden Spikes odds watch list guy. He's up there on the watch list. Jay Johnson is just like gushing over this kid and talks about how good of a human being he is. Like, that's all he talks about, is how good of a person this guy is. So like, he intimately loves Luke Holman.
Transfer from Alabama.
Yep. Let me say this. He loves Thatcher Hurd as well. That's his guy. I feel as if we're going to start with Thatcher on Friday night, Luke Holman Saturday. I think eventually you're going to see Holman be the Friday guy, because I think the inconsistencies of Hurd is going to catch up with him early on. He's going to figure it out, and he's going to be a fucking man, which he is. I just think he's, is that Grant? That's first.
Hi.
That's first.
Hello.
Brett is in the show.
Yeah, Brett's here too. So let me ask this. Was it announced that Holman is starting Saturday?
I'll say the name. Holman?
They can see it. Huh?
Did
coach announce that Holman's starting Saturday?
Yes.
So is Gage jump? I know that there was some stuff floating around there that he's may or may not be back in there.
Jay Johnson did his typical like
yeah, he jumped around it. So
yeah, like we'll talk about it. He said basically what Gage jump has, the situation Gage
Jump's not starting this weekend, right?
We don't know. I don't think he is, because he hasn't. He said Holman and Hurd, but he's like, Sundays is to be determined. We're going to work on some things. He has been adamant that his top 3 pitchers are Holman, Hurd, and Jump. Like he's talked about that, and that'll be like the weekend rotation. But going into this weekend, he did say, we'll evaluate Sunday. And then it was followed up with a question specifically like, okay, so obviously you don't want to go into detail about Jump, but like, is he moving along as you want? Is there a reason like we haven't seen much of him the past 2 weeks? And basically Jay gave his, his big quiz answer, which you have to kind of dissect, but it was like, guys develop in different ways. We progress certain players in different ways in this program. Meaning you might not see him Sunday because we're trying to get his recovery back from this injury, and is like, we want him full speed ahead by mid-season
for the games that matter.
Or we don't want to have him out there we're going to have a limited pitch count. We don't need to do that in February against VMI. So I don't know. Maybe you'll see him. Do we even play VMI on Sunday? I think it's Central.
No, it's Central Arkansas. We actually play 4 games this weekend. So we play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 2 each team twice. So Thatcher Hurd is going to start Friday, and I would agree with you that Holman potentially can become the Friday guy if Hurd's not there. We need out of him.
My only question mark was saying the starting guys have to prove it. Where this season, the depth in the pen is like, I'm way more confident in the pen than guaranteeing us having some ace weekend starters, is what I'm saying.
Yep. No, this year we have way more guys that can give you 3 and 4 solid innings in the middle of a game out of the bullpen. You have the Akin. We'll go through that list in a minute, but I would agree with you. The starters are no one's established. Even Holman, we don't really know if he's a guy, like if he's going to be able to be.
No, but he's a good.
No, I know he is good. I'm just saying, like, it's not like we knew.
Good person.
Like Ty,
great model American.
Like Ty Floyd coming back. Ty Floyd started 1 million games. We kind of knew. We knew he was inconsistent, but we knew he was going to start.
And obviously, Ty Floyd to me is kind of like Thatcher Hurd. Like if Ty Floyd would have been returning this year after how he finished last season, he'd be in the same boat as Thatcher Hurd, which is a different level than, some of these guys that we're used to that are being like the Nolas and the Skeens. Like that's not what Thatcher Hurd's going to be. So he's got to earn it. And I think he's got the first crack at earning that. Brett, what were you saying?
I think Brett, I'm sorry.
Brett. No, I was just going to, for the people who don't know necessarily who Holman is, and these are on LSU's website. I didn't come up with these stats, but In 2 seasons at Alabama, pitched 100 innings, 111 strikeouts, and then limited SEC opponents in 2023 to a 191 batting average.
This is the
seems
same
solid.
cat that didn't pitch because of the gambling situation.
I thought I was going to bring that
This
up.
is the guy. Yes. He was Alabama's Friday guy and Saturday guy for most of the year last year.
Yeah, so we just walked in and took Alabama's top guy.
Pitcher, yes.
And we also got Alabama's like crazy bullpen guy, Cade Woods. He's kind of a psycho, but I think he's going to be a fun one to watch. But
that's there's nothing you want more
from
than
Monroe.
A bullpen closer type guy to be an absolute lunatic.
Yeah, he's a lunatic. He's a Bama guy. It's just he followed Holman. It's interesting. So, but Holman, it was funny. It was such like a slob fest during the interview for Holman. I don't know if you watched this yet, but it was just like, so is this way better than Alabama? Like that, like that's essentially like what all the questions were. It's like, how was the pitching lab at Alabama compared to LSU? He's like, we didn't have a pitching lab there. Like he just like so nonchalantly was just like, yeah, this is a different caliber. There's like a different level of college baseball over here. And like they kept asking him about that kind of stuff, like back and forth. And he was just very like subdued and very, I don't know, intentional about his answers, but you could tell like he's a dog. Like that's somebody that's going to be really good for us. But it was funny that we were just trying to pry out like negative Alabama comments the whole time.
That's so funny. Bama's program. Well, that coach, I mean, he's done for life. He's banned for life, basically, from coaching baseball again.
But then we take Gage Jump. We get Gage Jump
from UCLA. Two UCLA transfers now.
Yeah,
Thatcher Hurd and Jump.
Jump's a guy that he's very familiar with. Recruited him to Arizona. Obviously, he didn't go there, but a guy that he's very familiar with. Jay Johnson is the ultimate like SoCal. I'm going to go figure out the California boys, Arizona, Nevada. Like he's got that vibe going. He wears it. He wears the uniform just like it too, which is great. Love Jay to death. Going back and watching some of his post-game press conferences of the national championship and like the super regional, it's just his love for LSU and college baseball in general. It's just so great to have that kind of appreciation leading your squad. So Jay knows Gage Jump. Yeah. And so those are your top three guys, Holman, Jump, and Hurd. You'll see Hurd start out on Friday, but those are your starting pitchers. We'll get into the bullpen because a lot of depth there, but let's talk a little bit about those guys.
Yeah, I have to derail the pod for just a quick, brief moment.
Trey Holly Grove?
No, we can get to that at some point. Grant, before the podcast, was like, y'all saw the walk-up songs, right? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I should probably pull that up. And I'm like, oh, shit, we still got one of Moffitt's kids on the team. And then I just pulled up the roster, and it totally caught me off guard.
It's not his son.
I don't think it's his son.
No relation there.
Great, no, honest mistake though. Is he had a boy that was playing on the team at one point.
Yeah.
I literally was like, oh, Moffitt just must be hanging around still.
It's a big kid. This kid, Aiden's he's a large
listed at 6'3", 220.
So starters, we've talked about the three guys. So ideally those would be your starters. If Gage Jump can't go, I'm sure at some point in the season he can jump in there. We'll see how he does. And I think we have to, because we have four games this weekend and next weekend, actually, we're going to have four starters. I mean, someone's got to start those games.
Who you got?
The guys I think that are going to end up starting, if Jump can't go at all this weekend in a starter role, I think Justin Lower, transfer from Xavier, left-handed pitcher. I don't think they're
starting Lower. Lower's the closer. Him and Guidry are going to be your closers.
I know, but I think under the circumstances of Jump if there's actually something going on and Jay Johnson's not saying anything about it, I think Lower is one of the guys. If it's not him,
I go Griffin Herring.
I was going to say Javin Coleman because Coleman has had more starts in his career. Herring will be Herring too. Coleman and Herring, I think, are two of the most important pieces, and Ackenhausen. Those three guys, I think, are the three most important pieces of our team.
And Helmers.
if they can come out of the bullpen, if they can piece together those Sundays with those 3 guys, if Hurd can't get out of the second inning, it's going to be one of those guys. Those 3 guys, Ackenhausen, Herring, Coleman, I think, and they're all left-handed pitchers, so it's going to be more situation. I wish one of those guys was right-handed. I guess Cade Woods is that other guy.
You're missing one more.
Well, Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson and Guidry.
Cam Johnson and Guidry are the 2.
Yeah, I know, but those are the ones I think are going to be the closers.
I think Lore is going to be more in your back half. I think Guidry is going to be your guy that just rattles the middle of a fucking lineup. You know what I'm saying? Like, not necessarily like your closer, but a guy that
he's going to come out like a psychopath this year.
You need a change of pace. They're starting to tag your starter, and you need somebody to come in there and be like, all right, everybody calm the fuck down. Like, give you 2, maybe 1.5 innings of just crazy strikeouts, nutso. And then you throw Laura in for like the final 3. Like, I feel like that's kind of what you're looking at. And then you can interchange that with maybe a Cam Johnson coming from the left, depending on how he develops.
So many lefties, good God.
But I think you're spot on though when it comes to Ackenhausen, Herring, and Coleman being those middle relief guys that you can trust to give you, if they had to, like 5 innings.
I guess I'm looking at it now. I thought Lower had more starts in his career.
The only reason I'm disagreeing with you about Lower is because the only scrimmages that have been documented so far, he's come in and like closed it out.
That makes sense. For some reason, I thought he had way more starts to his name before transferring over, but he doesn't. He had a 1.89 ERA last year at Xavier, which is, I mean, that's ridiculous out of the pen with 7 saves. So I think you're right, Mike. I, for some reason, thought he did both. I thought he had 8 or 9 starts and
that's
came out.
That's not to say that like he's not a candidate that could develop into a starter. You know what I mean?
But we won't need him to, because Coleman and Herring, like you said,
that's what I'm saying. I feel like those guys can do that. So let's just save this guy that's proven he can save games and throw him in there as a guaranteed like strike thrower. He's got some movement and he's been in those moments before. And you group that with the righty and Guidry, that's a good combo if you know how to do it. If you play it right and you get that chemistry down of like understanding when they excel better than one another, I think that's going to be a nice closing duo. And you've got that middle meat of the bullpen that's got so many lefties. You're able to be flexible with Guidry.
Yep.
Can someone please tell me that Fidel Ulloa is gonna be getting run?
Ulloa.
I don't care. This dude's mustache is incredible.
His mustache.
Oh, you need a picture of him pulled up?
I'm getting it. Well, you can get it for the viewers, but
I need this guy.
Wait, we're gonna get to. I mean, we can show him. He's a JUCO transfer.
Is this an Aristotle Abraham situation?
Actually, no. I've heard in terms of his name,
a double-A situation.
No, we're not going to see Fidel this season. I'm sorry.
Come on, give me that.
I don't think so.
Talk about that dude coming in for a little 7th and 8th stretch.
So I think I've heard he's got some real nasty stuff. 94, 95.
We can't.
I'm telling you,
we can't use our time right now on this podcast to discuss Fidel Ulloa.
Brett brought him up. Michael. He does have a wonderful mustache, and his walkout song was something pretty cool. Where did that go?
Here we go. We're going to talk Fidel.
You're welcome.
Fidel, what's his number?
Wait. His walkout song is Foo Fighter. He's got the Foo Fighters song.
All right. Okay. All right. I'm down for a little Fidel. If he brings out Everlong, I'm down with a little Fidel. He tried. I bet he can't name another Foo song though. That's the problem.
So anyway, he's from California.
He's the problem.
Let's see. JUCO guy. He's okay. Whatever. We went and got him from California like Jay Johnson does.
Back to the pen.
Not someone I think we're going to rely on. He's at the pen. So I think we talked about the starters: Gavin Guidry, Justin Lower, Cam Johnson. That's 6 guys Cam Johnson's probably at the bottom because we just don't know. He's got so much potential.
Let's talk about Cam Johnson for a second here. For those that don't know.
Shouldn't be here. He shouldn't. Basically, he's if Paul Skeens He's a left-handed I don't know.
But he is here. He's here for a reason. So he's got to. So there's something that the MLB was like, you got to do something a little bit more for us. Let's check some things out. And I think it's his pitchability. I think it's being able to control the nastiness that he has in a more accurate and consistent way against this type of competition. And I think it's going to take some time for him to adjust. So I don't think it's good for us to expect Cam Johnson to come in and be Paul Skeens as an 18-year-old kid, right? And I think he will be that for sure. It could turn on in a month, right? Like it could be very quick. But at the same time, like my expectation for Cam Johnson is a guy that comes in on the weekends, middle of the innings, and develops, and then all of a sudden, like towards the end of the season, maybe tournament play. Yeah, that's a great comment. Totally derailed me, but I appreciate it. It's worthy of a derailment. Wait until Jay Johnson gets his hands on Cam Johnson's. Cam's Johnson. Yeah. I think eventually, once we get into tournament play, this is a kid that if he had to start, I think he's ready, right? I think that's how talented he is. And then next season, he's your Friday guy. Like that's what that looks like. So a lot of expectations for him. I think we need to be realistic though. He's going to be a stud, but he is part of that lefty group with Ackenhausen, with Herring, with Coleman. Is Coleman lefty? Yeah. Coleman.
Yep.
That can come in and give you a handful of really good quality, solid innings.
Yep. What is this? 5. So we've 10 guys: Ackenhausen, Cade Woods, transferred from Alabama, Griffin Herring, and Coleman. Those are meaty bullpen guys, right? They're going to have meaningful innings. They're going to show you the most appearances behind the starters, and besides the closers that we talked about. And then I think the 11th guy that I think if we can get something out of him, because he is so talented, is Christian Little. We had high expectations for him last year, and he fizzled out. He just didn't seem to. Now, he understood his role. He realized, like, hey, I don't have it. I'm going to cheer on my teammates. And I loved watching him be, a great teammate in a national championship run. He was on there for the ride. Great. But now I'm hoping that he's realized, like, okay, let me figure this stuff out. Let me, get serious about it and be the guy who everyone thought I was going to be. Because he has all the potential. The guy throws 95 plus, big right-handed arm, transferred from Vanderbilt, so he's got it up top. So I'm hoping he can be a guy that contributes. That's kind of all I have to say about him.
I've got a couple more guys that I feel like are going to be very impactful this season, and that they've been working a lot in these practices. One of which is a true freshman, Cade Anderson. This is actually a St. Paul's kid.
Shout out Maggie.
Shout out Cade Anderson.
Hey Maggie.
So Cade Anderson is a St. Paul's kid from Covington. Was injured his senior season. His junior year, he was going to be the guy. He wasn't going to make it to college, right? He's recovered from the injury. He's a full go. They've been pitching the heck out of him in these practices leading up to the season, which I believe they consider this the spring. So spring ball, Cade Anderson has been pitching pretty well. I think he's somebody, again, from the left side that you're going to see really pound the strike zone. He's polished for a true freshman. I think they expect a lot of things out of him. Another one to keep an eye on, that if he is recovered from injury, because remember, we've been in this injury phase. We've been in this like, damn, we've got these guys, but they're all injured, right? Including Chase Shores. This season, all those guys are pretty much back. It just depends on what point in the year you're going to see them. One of those guys is Jaden Newt. Jaden Newt was a stud coming out of high school, and he was plagued with an injury, and we just never heard from him again.
Multiple injuries.
But he's still here with us. He's still pounding away. I think he's a guy, if you can start seeing him throw a little bit, he'll surprise some people. So those guys there, I think, is there anybody else? there was
Helmer's is going to eat up your midweek games. Hopefully, that's a guy that goes out and just takes care of Southern, or
and then
he gives you 3-4
You
innings.
got Cade Woods, the Bama guy, the wild
Cade
card.
Wood, yeah, he's one of those meaty middle relievers. I think this year.
Middle relievers, right? So, but I think Anderson is kind of in that upper group, right? And then we talked about Lohr and Guidry as kind of like your closers, back into the games type of guys. I expect both of those guys, though. I don't want to gloss over those two while we're talking about the middle relief, because Gavin Guidry is an incredible athlete. Like, Gavin Guidry was the guy coming out of Louisiana, that freshman signing class. He just didn't transition to his position as a shortstop like he wanted and he expected. But his talent on the mound is undeniable. And I think now that he's focusing solely on that, and he's kind of given up on the whole, like, I'm the starting shortstop at LSU dream, he's got a bright future in pitching. And he's got a disgusting curve. Like, when he drops the hammer, it's gone, right? Like, it's gone. But his fastball needs some work. According to Jay, according to everybody, that's what his whole offseason has really been about. That's what the spring's been about. So he's got multiple pitches now. So you're going to see more out of Gavin Guidry. And he's got the experience now as a leader. He is a leader in that clubhouse coming back. I think Lohr adds that left-sided safety feel with experience, and he's going to excel now that he's on a bigger stage. He was a baller at Xavier. He actually crushed it, I believe, in their regional victory. So he's got good experience on a decent team. He's going to elevate his game at LSU. I think he's going to be highly dependent on in that pitching crew. So those names that we just said, from the starters all the way through to the closers and the bullpen in between, there is a handful more that are on the roster. I think those are the names that we just mentioned that you're going to see the most of, and that we're going to get the most potential out of.
Going back just a second, you talked about Newt, and that's a name I'm definitely going to click on the bio, right? It's I know you said he had injuries and stuff, but it's pretty crazy to have the #1 ranked right-handed pitcher in California, and he was like the 10th guy y'all named.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's a guy. I mean,
he hasn't thrown a pitch. He hasn't thrown a pitch yet.
The best player on this team still hasn't pitched for us yet, and that's Chase Shores. Like, that's
and he may not until like the end of until SEC tournament.
Right. And so, like, Newt is a dude that everyone was obsessed with until he was injured, and it was like, okay, great, we got him to campus, we got the #1 pitcher in California, but like, we don't really know what we're getting yet. Now he's working his way back, and apparently he's good to go in limited form. I think he's one of those guys that people forget who he was. Like, this is a dude that, like, very highly ranked out of a state that produces baseball players. Like, that's,
number 33 overall prospect, #8 right-handed pitcher. But it's like, I just feel like most every other team in the country, like, they're talking this dude is like, they're like, well, this guy is going to be our stud.
Yeah. Him and Chase Shores, if they were healthy, like Thatcher Hurd, I don't know what you would do with those two guys right now. Like,
if Chase Shores was healthy, he's your Friday starter.
What I'm saying is, if Chase Shores and Jaden Newt never got injured, I guess we wouldn't have gone to the transfer portal and picked up these other guys.
Exactly. And like Jay Johnson said, like, people were starting to chirp about Chase Shores, like, hey, when are we going to see him? And he's like, relax. Like, this is a type of talent that you're going to be seeing in the big leagues for like years. I'm not messing this up. Like, that's what he was basically saying. He's like, I'm not going to be the reason this is screwed up. Like, we're going to take our time.
He said that someone asked him, what was the lowest point of the season last year? And he said the lowest point of the season was when Chase Shores got hurt, because he just felt so terrible. And it's like, God, that coach just cares about his guys so much that,
But he did say he's well ahead of schedule, and if he's good to go, you're going to see him this season. But it'll be, if anything, it'll be at the very end of the year into the tournament, postseason.
Between him and Shores to come in late in the year, maybe someone else gets hurt, and it's like, well, plug and play.
Yeah, that's wild. So yeah, that's the pitching situation for LSU right now. So obviously, it is not a Paul Skeens situation, but damn, you're never going to sit back this season and say, oh, we just don't have arms. Like, we just don't have the bodies. Like, no, they're there. We have the pitchers. We have the depth. You got to expect a handful of the guys that we just mentioned, they're going to hit, right? You might not hit on all of them, but a handful of those dudes with the amount that they have, especially from the left side, you're going to see some really good quality pitching here. Let's shift gears to the offense.
And real quick, we did get a new pitching coach, Nate Yeski.
Let's shift gears.
Yeski. To cap it off with the pitching staff, we have a new coach. He has experience. He's been to Omaha 3 times, and he's won a national championship at Oregon State. He's been in Oregon State, Texas A&M, Arizona, UNLV. So he's been around.
Weird guy. He's a weird guy.
They're all weird. I mean,
no, he's
weird.
No. Jay's
picture
cool.
does look
Jay Johnson
weird.
is cool guy.
His picture is weird. He's from Wisconsin. That's interesting. But anyway, he's a proven coach.
His
I'm
phone
excited
number's
about him
on the website.
That's what I'm saying. He's a weird guy.
225.
You want to call him?
Let's call him up. Call him in the show.
Do you still have the Roadcaster?
That's not hooked up.
Plug it in.
That's funny. Anyway, I just wanted to say talk about him. Yeah, let's go to offense.
I gotta see if Jay Johnson's phone number is on here.
So offensively, you don't have obviously.
Let's talk about who we have to replace, right?
Yeah. Like go through that. Dylan Cruz.
We're replacing the greatest player we've ever seen play, I would say, in our the guys that we actually watched play. And Dylan Cruz.
Morgan.
Saved the
he's
season.
Second. No, Dylan Cruz, Cade Beloso, Trey Morgan, Braden Jobert, Gavin Dugas, and Jordan Thompson. Those was that 6 guys I think I named. They were everyday players for you.
It's 60% of your production.
They accounted for 50 to 60% of every offensive category. I mean, Dylan Cruz, I guess, was probably 25% alone, but you are losing experience from those guys. They were all glue guys. They were the meat of what brought us to that national championship. A lot of Louisiana guys. Half of those guys were all born and raised Louisiana, bleed purple and gold. That's what helps you get to Omaha. That's what helps you win national championships, and we are losing them. So huge shoes to fill there, but at the same time, we were fortunate enough to have a lot of guys coming back to experience that and to still have had meaningful at-bats and meaningful playing time last year. Guys like Jared Jones that we'll talk about. Obviously, Tommy White, Paxton Kling, Milazzo, Fry, Pearson, Nippolt, Mike's favorite guy, Big Ben Nippolt. Big Ben Nippolt. So we do have Travinsky, obviously. And we'll talk about each one of those. But, yes, we are replacing a huge component offensively with that core group of guys from last year.
People forget Paxton Kling led this team in the fall and spring ball going into last season in hits, in home runs. This is a guy that started the season for us. It was the leadoff hitter. He led off. He got on a dry spell against A&M, I believe.
1 for 15.
And we were just so talented and on that roster that we could afford to let him earn it back and sit the bench and develop. And now he's back. And now apparently he's killing it. He is back to his old form. This is a very, very talented individual that we're going to have very high up in our batting order. And he's probably going to be our center fielder, right? You're going to have Paxton Kling, probably right in the top of that order, and playing center field. A leader on this team, somebody that was highly ranked, one of the top players in America. How the hell did we get him to campus type of kid? Draft eligible sophomore, so he's got something to play for other than just, winning for LSU. This kid's going to put his best product of himself back on the field, as he was highly touted at a high school. He needs to continue that momentum. I think you're going to see it. That's a candidate to replace a lot of those hits and a lot of that offensive production. He also can fly. He's going to steal some bases. I think you're going to see him elevate into the next level of his legacy being left here at LSU as one of the greats. I think Paxton Kling is up there as a candidate for it. I think staying. Where do you want to go through like our projected order, or do you want to go through?
I wanted
maybe
to just
like
start with some per position groups. I know we just talked about Kling, but
so let's
start
do
with
outfield.
catcher.
Okay.
Let's start with third base.
I'm gonna stick.
Well,
let's stick with the outfield.
Okay,
since
let's
we
stick
talked
with
about
outfield.
Paxton Kling,
Okay.
because I think that both of those guys next to Kling in the outfield are going to be high in the batting order as well. I think Jake Brown is actually slated to start in right field. That's everything I've heard and what I've listened to, and who's been the consistent top guy in right field in every scrimmage has been Jake Brown. This is your prototypical freshman, Mikey Matuk, Dylan Cruz, Bregman, like who's the guy that's going to come in as a true freshman and find a starting position right off the bat? It's Jake Brown. This was the #1 Louisiana player out of Zachary, Louisiana, was drafted extremely high to pitch. Sulphur, not Zachary. Ooh, burn, man. Good catch
both
there.
Another great. They're both really good baseball schools.
That's why I got it switched up, and I could have thrown Barb in there.
Could have happened to any of us.
He's from Sulphur, and he is a guy that is an incredible pitcher, right? And so his future in the league was documented and projected to be as a pitcher. He got to LSU's campus, and Jay Johnson was like, okay, we've got something here. He's got insane pop out of the bat. He can play any position in the field. He's built. I mean, he's a big kid. He's ready to play immediately. So Jake Brown is a guy that you're going to be hearing a lot about, and he is slated to start in right field. Does that mean he's going to be the dude the whole season and whatever? I don't know. Like, you can move him around anywhere. They put him in right field, so you might see a variation in the field, but Jake Brown is slated to start. The other starter is Mac Bingham, the transfer from Arizona, who followed Jay Johnson here for his graduate year. So he has finished at Arizona, played 4 seasons there, and now he's taken a 5th year to follow Jay and finish out his career here. Apparently, all reports are saying him and we'll get to the shortstop, Michael Braswell, but those two are the biggest surprises, that they did not really expect the amount of production going into the year. They knew that they had good quality, senior-led guys or experienced guys transferring in to kind of shore up that lineup. But now they're looking like they may be offensive juggernauts, guys that can really swing the bat and make some runs, generate some runs. So Mac Bingham, transfer from Arizona, Paxton Kling, and Jake Brown, I believe, are your 3 outfielders.
Yep, I would agree. Jake Brown definitely slated in right field. I think we will see. We didn't even talk about him pitching. He might get some innings, just like Gavin Guidry kind of did a little bit of both, because he's young enough. You want to get him, those opportunities, because maybe one of these other guys starts hitting really well, and it's like, hey, Jake, we need you to help. Maybe he's slumping, but we want you to contribute here. And Mac Bingham transferring from Arizona, like you said. I mean, he's a I don't know. He could bat 380 plus this year. I mean, the guy, C&I, singles everywhere, shoots the gaps. He had 10 home runs last year. I would expect in our park he could have at least, if he gets 10 home runs this year, like, okay, we're rocking and rolling.
And that's what we need. If we're going to try to hit that 100 mark, we're gonna need guys like Mac Bingham to hit like 10 to 12. Like, we're gonna have to get him double digits.
We've got to find guys that can hit around and protect guys like Tommy White. So Tommy White last year had 105 RBIs or whatever it was, which is an absurd amount. But he's going to have guys to get on base, and he's going to have guys behind him that they're going to have to pitch to.
Like Hayden
Travinski. So you just need these guys, and I think Bingham. I think we're going to rely a lot on him to produce for us this year.
Brett, anything on the outfield?
I've been scrolling Twitter, reading EA College Football 2025 tweets. So not at this time. No, not really.
All right, so over to catcher.
Well, real quick, I think the first guy off the bench in the outfield, because of this, which leads us into catcher, honestly, because he's going to do that too, is Ethan Fry.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be one of your first guys at multiple positions: outfield, first base,
Is
and
it Frey?
catcher. I've been hearing Fry.
Okay. I love
I
that.
think, but who knows with the way these people.
No, I love that. I love how we don't know.
Um,
That's what I love. Because it's
Nipple.
fun when you hear it for the first time by Jim Nance, not Jim Nance.
Jim Nance.
What's his name? What's the
Hello,
fucker's name?
friends.
Who's the guy on CST? Oh,
Lynn Rollins. Lynn Rollins.
Not
Lynn
CST.
Rollins.
Lynn Rollins. Yeah, you're
Lynn
gonna hear Lynn
Rollins.
Rollins pronounce it, and you'll be like,
Jim Nance.
That's what it is.
That's funny.
But is Lynn correct?
What the hell am I?
We talking about Ronnie Rance here?
No, not Ron.
Ben McDonald?
Not Benji. It's definitely Lynn. We're talking about Lynn.
Anyway, Ethan Fry, I think if, like, let's say Jake Brown goes 0 in his first weekend, then, like, Fry is going to get in at bat this weekend. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Somewhere's on this field, that kid's going to get at bat. He's 6'5", 230 pounds from Rose Pine. Just a country boy, and he's out there kind of like Bear Jones. Those two guys are almost mirror images of each other. Bear's just a little bit more just has a little bit more oomph behind him. And
yeah, but Frey is on Bear's ass.
He's right there. He's right there. So with catcher, starting with catcher, I think, and you might think differently, I think Brady Neal's going to get the first. He'll be out there first on tomorrow.
I concur.
And we saw glimpses of him last year before we got hurt. I was pleasantly surprised with him last year. I didn't know. And the kid was like 17. I think he had reclassified last year.
Yeah, he was supposed to be
from
in high
IMG
school.
Academy.
From
yeah,
IMG.
so he actually played. He must have played with Cam Johnson at IMG. Or maybe Cam might have transferred later. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, Cam wasn't there early.
He wasn't there the whole time. Okay. Brady Neal's going to get the start. I'm excited about him. He is offensively and defensively, he's like my guy. He is my breakthrough player or breakout player. That's who I have. Like you kind of talked about Kling. I think the guy for me is Brady Neal. I think
same grouping. Bear Jones, Kling, and Neal. Those are your three guys from that #1 recruiting class. Yeah. The three guys that we were most excited about getting to campus that played a little bit last season, all three of them showed glimpses of like, ooh, that was a really good series that they had. And then they fizzled, right? Or like an injury for Neal, for instance. Like this is the season where I feel like you could see those guys break out. Will all three of them be superstars? I don't know. I think Kling is the best option there. And I think right next to him is Neal. If I had to, I think Brady Neal and Paxton Kling are two guys that this season, if they explode on the scene and they're the dudes that we expect them to be, like we're in for a great year.
Yep. I think also talking about the catching position, obviously we have Alex Milazzo, Hayden Travinski, Jared Jones can catch, and Ethan Fry. So I think if there's our strongest position group, it is catcher. We haven't been able to say that for very long. I mean, I guess last year it was all the same guys. But this year, imagine you had a strong catching group last year, and you have the exact same players returning this year. Like I'm excited about that position. When you have to play four games a weekend for the first 2 weekends, you're going to need these guys to catch.
Yes.
Brady Neal's not going to catch every game, so you're going to see Brady Neal catch Friday. Milazzo will most likely catch, or Neal will probably catch Friday and Sunday. Milazzo will catch Saturday. And possibly Travinski might catch Monday, or someone different might catch. We might have 3 different starting catchers this weekend. And if some of those games are blowouts, well, then, everyone's going to get to play. I'm just excited about – I mean, Milazzo last year, if you think about it, before he broke his leg in the national championship game, I mean, he turned it up a notch. He finished the year batting like 290, 280.
We don't win last year. We don't win the championship without
Trey Morgan.
No,
100%. But Milazzo was a huge part of that with Thatcher Hurd going in and being as erratic as he was, but successful, was because guys like Alex Milazzo were able to save him and to make these acrobatic stops and bail people out of innings, which otherwise that would be a stolen base or that would be a run scored. Like he was able to capture a lot of those pitches. There is nobody better than him defensively at catcher. Like he's elite. It's his power at the plate which Brady Neal has the potential to completely outweigh. So all around catching ability, Brady Neal is the guy. But make no mistake, Alex Milazzo is a weekend guy. Like, he's a guy that will be somewhere in that rotation.
I'm looking at this stat here. I feel like this is pretty ridiculous. His career, so this will be his 5th year.
Oh yeah,
Believe it or not, and
he's a
that includes
coach.
the
He's a
COVID year.
coach. Listen to
He's
his
literally
interviews.
a
He looks
coach.
like a
Yes.
coach.
He has caught stealing half of the amount of people that have attempted to steal against him. Like,
Yep.
that's kind of in his career, and like those
That's
types
huge.
of things are that's crazy. He doesn't make many errors. Very smart player defensively. If he can, in his opportunities, if he can bat 280, 290 again, like, okay, Jesus, like his on base percentage being 370. I mean, I'll take that all day from Milazzo. Love that kid.
Since we're talking about catchers, we'll talk DH, because Hayden Travinski is probably going to be your DH.
Yep.
This is his team. He's number 8. He is the guy that had some hype coming out of high school and was plagued with injuries until last season. And he finally was like, you know what, I'm going to stick around. This is a guy that I thought, I heard his name before, played a little bit early. I figured he'd be a transfer casualty and we'll end up watching him somewhere else. He came back, he gutted it out. Now he's like a poster child for the mustache rides. He is number 8. He is swinging the bat like gorilla ball 90s at the end of last season. This is his team. You have to find a spot for him on the roster or on the starting lineup, because he is that power play that can follow a guy like Tommy White. So Hayden Travinski is certainly a guy that you're going to see probably hitting 4 or 5, and going to be in the lineup as long as he performs. This guy has amazing power, great leadership ability. He's really bought into what the team is doing, and he's part of a national championship. So I really think he is a massive get to return on campus, and a guy that we're going to see a lot of good things from.
Seems like the ultimate locker room guy.
Oh yeah.
Yes. If he, another 5th year guy like Milazzo, they came in together. If he can stay healthy this year through the whole year, because if you remember last year, he was hurt. He's been banged up every year he's been here. And then I think it was Ole Miss. He came in on that Sunday and hits a 3-run bomb in the top of the 9th. And from that point forward, he was in the lineup. Mm-hmm. And he had 10 home runs, 30 RBIs, batted 360, batted a lot higher than that until kind of right around Omaha. He got banged up again, and his production tailed off a little bit. But if we can get that production again from him again, I mean, we're back in Omaha. So hopefully, if not, if he struggles, we'll see. I mean, we have enough guys on this roster, but he's got to be a guy that's in the lineup day in and day out.
Talking about another guy that we're hoping emerges and hoping becomes, worthy of the hype, because we've seen glimpses of it, is, the starting first baseman, Jared Jones. Bear Jones is a mammoth. This guy is a power hitter. If he can learn how to hit a curveball, I mean, we're going to win the title. Like that. It's as simple as that. He is gorilla ball masher. He's a good athlete, big boy. Somebody that they're relying very heavily on this season to have a breakout year and be consistent and find it. Again, grouped in that elite class of Paxton Kling, Brady Neal, and this is Jared Jones. He's part of that crew. He had a massive game against Kentucky last season, clutch swings. So hopefully we can have that carry on at first base. You've got an option at first base, though. You've got a couple guys that can go in there and play it if you had to. Ethan Fry, we'll find out from Lynn Rollins, is a guy that could play first base. And then a true freshman, Larson, is another guy that's been getting a lot of reps at first. And you also have Jake Brown that's been getting a lot of reps at first. So they are prepared if Bear Jones can't really get the job done at first, or Hayden Travinski can't get it done at DH, so we move Bear Jones to DH. You've got some options at first base.
And Tommy could always play first as well if someone can play defensively at third, which depends on what type of lineup we're doing those days. But yes, another blessed position at first. Our first bases and catchers are kind of interchangeable. They kind of all catch and play first, except for Milazzo and Neal. So we'll see there. Second base will be interesting this year.
Second is interesting because you're starting out with Pearson, right?
Yep.
You're going with Mr.
Your starting
Reliable.
left fielder. Right fielder.
Yeah, a guy that was out there in the field last year and really earned his spot. Really made some defensive moments, Sports Center top 10 highlights out there. Like incredible fielder. Really, his bat was lacking early. And then him and Jobert were the ones that kind of emerged, right? Of just like, hey, these are the two random dudes that we didn't really see being the guys. They had good freshman years, but they kind of didn't really produce as sophomores. Then boom, they come on the scene as reliable guys. Yeah, they hit slumps. Those were your slump guys. And Pearson had his ups and downs, but when it mattered at the end of the season, he was a highlight reel and he was clutch, especially in the field.
He's clutch.
This is a guy that is all about baseball and he can play any position. And that's why they're going to let him play the infield. He's going to get the first crack at second base. Interesting about second base, though, and I'm sure this is where you're going with this as well. Outside of shortstop or outside of Tommy White and first base as well, the next guy up for short or second base is Monster Milam. And that's a guy that I feel like Jay is surprised. He's mentioned it a few times of how quickly these guys have developed in spring ball compared to where they were coming in originally. And I think Milam is one of those guys he's mentioning. And if you look at the statistics of the scrimmages the past few weekends, Milam is killing it. He's tearing it up. So there is some options there at second base. I know Nippolt is included in that as well. But I think Milam is your next guy in the infield if you had to go with going as a backup for that middle infield.
Yep.
But Pearson's the guy at second.
Yeah, Pearson's going to start. Milam is going to back up. Those middle infielders, they can kind of like the first baseman and catchers, they can back up each other. I think Nippolt's really going to be the backup for Tommy White if something, when he needs to exit a game because we're blowing someone out. I think he's going to go to third base there. We'll talk about them in a minute. But yes, Monster Milam. He honestly shouldn't be. He's the type of kid that apparently shouldn't be on campus either. We lucked out. We got him in. He's a little small, so he's not going to blow you away when he walks off the bus.
No, he's a little monster.
But he is a hell of an athlete. Can hit for contact. Was highly recruited, highly rated prospect. And to have the nickname Monster, like Mike said early in the pod, like you've got to earn that. If Jay Johnson, if that's the term he's using for him, I'm guessing, I don't know if that came from before LSU or Jay Johnson coined him that nickname already.
It was before. You know what his other nickname is?
I don't.
Mini Bregman.
MB.
Mini Bregman.
Interesting.
Because he's from New Mexico.
Yeah, Las Cruces, New Mexico.
So anyway,
smaller than Bregman, am I right?
Smaller, monster.
Now, here's one thing I'll say about second base, I don't want to deviate
from how good Pearson is. Like Pearson's a good quality guy.
Pearson played second base in high school. He was an infielder and he was not an outfielder.
What I hope Pearson can be is like the same thing that we saw from like Gavin Dugas. Like if he can play that role. Gavin had some elite clutch moments as well. Like that's not fair to say like he is expected to be Gavin Dugas, but if Pearson can play that role defensively,
I agree. One name, and so I guess that takes us. Let's just go to shortstop. And talk about Michael Braswell, transfer from South Carolina. All the reports indicate, like Mike said, he's probably the biggest surprise in terms of production. Yeah, we went and got a shortstop. We knew we needed a shortstop. We hoped it was going to work out, but apparently he has just been tearing it up in the fall. He's tearing it up in the spring. He looks the part. He came from South Carolina, so he's experienced. He started a million games over there. And one thing that stuck out to me, he's been dropping bombs. Hopefully he doesn't have to take any drug tests anytime soon. But one thing that stuck out to me was when Jay Johnson, when all the reports said that like he didn't seek us out in the transfer portal. Jay Johnson was like, "No, we want you, we need you," and he basically cried, knowing that wow, like I get to go play at LSU. Like I never thought this would happen, type of thing. And as an outsider, I'm like, shit, South Carolina's no
cried.
No. The kid
Okay.
did when he got the phone call from Jay Johnson to come.
Mike was about to be out on Jay Johnson.
To pull the cool card, man.
No. The kid apparently teared up
he
when
didn't
Jay
want
Johnson
to go to LSU. Jay Johnson wanted him, and he cried.
Jay Johnson cried until he said yes. No, so I think I'm excited about him. He's
Brian
a junior,
so
he's an older kid.
Please, Dominic.
Leadership. I don't know. I'm excited about Braswell. All the reports indicate we're going to rely heavily on him. Middle of the lineup. So honestly, he could start out more. I've kind of seen both in all the different things. I honestly, where I want him because of our lefty righty thing, and we'll talk about our lineups probably at the end. I think he'll be more at the bottom, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Third base, you've got the best hitter in college baseball, Tommy White.
Yeah,
Tommy Tanks.
I mean, enough said.
Yeah, I mean, Golden Spikes guy. You know, he's a dude that's going to be talked about all season. We need a surrounding cast. He needs a Dylan Cruz. He needs a Hayden Travinski. Like he needs a guy that's going to be on base, that's going to be able to capitalize on his hitability of finding gaps and just being a power guy that's going to score runs. Like we need to get guys on base. And I think Tommy's going to have a year. Tommy has always hit double-digit home runs since his days at North Carolina State. He walks in and he fucking hits bombs. I don't expect him to not do the same thing now, right? Like going into his money year. It's his healthy year. It's his money year. Like, let's get drafted. Let's be the fucking guy. He's cocky as hell. He's nasty. I love the kid. I think he is developing as a third baseman. I think he progressed there. And when I thought he may be a fraud at third base, he actually came around when it mattered. I think you're going to see him try to, make his case for being a solid third baseman for the draft. So you're going to see the best version of the best hitter in college baseball. So that's good for us.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing else to add to that. I mean, if Dylan Cruz never happened, we would be like Tommy White's one of the greatest players. Mm-hmm. I mean, he still is. I mean, his walk-off home run against Wake Forest will forever be burned into my memory of college baseball. Like that is a moment that like, I mean, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. Like just watching him raise his arms, hit the ball, like the whole thing. God, just such a clutch player, a leader of the team. Just, I don't know.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's great.
I'm excited to see what he does. It'd be awesome to see him hit like 30 home runs this year and just like
it'd be sick.
That'd be nuts.
If LSU wins the title, you have to get the Tiger tattoo.
Deal.
Tommy White's tattoo.
Deal. And I'll wear a pink sleeve every day.
On your butt cheek.
Perfect. One guy I was going to mention, and I know they haven't given Gavin Guidry any reps in the infield, but I'll tell you this, when shit hits the fan and things start changing throughout the year and we get an SEC play and we can't rely on certain guys, Josh Pearson or an outfielder, maybe Jake Brown, something happens, we're moving guys, I could see Gavin Guidry getting reps again. He still knows how to play the position.
He's an athlete. I think he's a great player, and he's going to be relied upon in several ways. I agree with you there. What does all this mean, right? If you unpack all of this, we listed all these names. We talked about this is the wild pitch guy again, Brantley. He's coming in with it. He's coming in hot and heavy. This is it. This is the wild pitch of the season. This is the episode.
It's the only one.
We may have a State of the Union.
We won't talk baseball again.
We'll talk baseball. No, but to unpack all of this, there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of like, what if this happens, or this could happen, or this is what we hope this kid develops to. Like, there's not a lot on paper here that's like, this is a guaranteed stud, other than like Tommy White. Like outside of that, you kind of look at this and you're like, okay. this is the ceiling, this is the floor, and in my opinion, the floor is based
What's the
on
roof?
the potential. And I think Omaha. I think we go to Omaha if this team really capitalizes on it. Could they win a national championship? Maybe. I don't know. That's so like up to fate when you get there, and best team that's on a run, whatever.
It almost makes me feel how, and I think the new college football playoff is, it's just give me a ticket. Like
Yeah.
we can get hot with the best of them. It's like
Yeah.
get us a ticket to that dance, and then anything
Eh,
can happen.
and we always and we're going to show up. So I feel like our fans had a lot to do with last year's national championship run once we made it to Omaha. I mean, you asked the coach that, you asked the players that. It's a different feel when we're there, acting a fool, breaking Jello shot records.
Yeah,
Like
without Todd Graves, there's no national championship.
100%.
and
then
what's his name?
Gordon.
Gordon.
Yeah, but then you look at the kids though. When you get there, out of nowhere, you've got guys like Nate Ackenhausen and like these random guys that just Riley Cooper all of a sudden is like the best.
Griffin Herring
comes alive. It's like when you get there and guys need to play, like our staff knows how to get the best out of these kids at the right time. And so give us a chance. Anything can happen. I'm not saying this is a national championship team, but if if the pieces, the talent's there is what I'm saying. If the pieces to this puzzle get fit correctly and the potential is there, and we meet expectations, we're going to be in Omaha and have a hell of a team.
Honestly, it does kind of feel like probably what we're gonna do in 7 months whenever we do a college football, LSU football preview. It's like,
I'm not saying we're a national championship team, but get us in that dance. Like, who knows?
but we should dance around the playoff, and then if you get into the playoff, why not us?
Right. But with that said, I think the lineups that we just talked about are like the positions where these guys are playing. You're going to see shifts. You're going to see like, actually, this worked better when we had Jake Brown.
Every scrimmage was completely different.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, this is not where last season where you walk into it, you're like, center field is no doubt Dylan Cruz. Dugas is definitely second base. Trey Morgan, that's your first base. Like right now, we're figuring it out. So it's going to take some time to develop, and we don't have much time to do it. Have you seen this schedule?
Yeah.
No.
I mean,
well, other than VMI, that is your pre-SEC schedule. You go to a ranked Texas team for the Astros Foundation Classic, actually at Minute Maid Park in Houston. Xavier, you've got Lore facing his former team. But when you get into SEC play, Mississippi State in Starkville, they're not the same Mississippi State as old.
No, but it's hard to play there. It's hard to play there.
It's still a squad. Then you host Florida, who is, I don't know, the number 3 team.
They're out for blood.
They're out for blood. Then you have Arkansas, who is projected to win the whole thing at Arkansas. Then you are back at home against Vanderbilt, Tim Corbin's Vanderbilt team.
Top 5, top 10 team.
Top 10 team. Then you go to Tennessee, a top 10 team. You got to play Vitello at Tennessee.
Hard to play.
Missouri sucks. Auburn is decent. Auburn's a team that's ranked in the top 25, but you do have them at home. And then a top 15, top 10 team, Texas A&M, back at home in Baton Rouge. Alabama sucks. Ole Miss is not the same. You get the point. We play 4 of the top 10. We play 8 of the top 25. I mean, like, it's a really hard schedule this season.
Yeah, last year we lucked out. We didn't play Vandy, I don't think, and we didn't play Florida.
Right.
In the regular season.
We had like Georgia.
Maybe we played. I know we didn't play Florida.
I thought we played Florida. I thought that was like a big deal because we lost to them. Maybe I just meld years.
We lucked out by not.
I don't think we played Florida.
Playing Florida last year.
We may have played Vanderbilt though.
We might have played Vandy, but either way, yes. I mean,
maybe we did.
Having Arkansas, Florida, and Vandy on your and Tennessee. I mean, like that's absurd. I mean, last year we did it. Last year in the postseason, we did it. We played against. We had the hardest bracket last year. The only good team we didn't play because we played Texas early in the year and beat them last year, and they were in Omaha. The only team I felt like that was good that we didn't get to play was Stanford, but we played literally everybody else.
I just scrolled last year, and we didn't play Vanderbilt or Florida.
So yeah, the schedule's tough.
You're welcome, boys.
Mike? What's your? Do you have a starting batting order? I mean, we kind of mentioned who the actual starter. I think we know who the starters are going to be position wise.
I think you're going to have the start of the lineup be Paxton Kling. I think you're going to get a lefty in there with Jake Brown, because he can hit from that side. I think you follow that up with Tommy White in the 3-hole. I think you've got Travinsky in 4. I think you have either Mac Bingham or Pearson right there. Where am I at? 5?
Well, Pearson would be whichever one. Pearson would be 6 if
you're saying both of them.
Yeah, I'll do Pearson 6. Bingham, Pearson, and then I would go
Milazzo.
No, I'd go Neil. No, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna save Neil. I want to have. So I've already got the outfield.
Jones.
I want to have Jones. I want to have Jones there, and then I'll have Braswell, Neil.
So you said Braswell. So Neil, Braswell. So interesting. So a couple differences. You can't really go wrong. There's Tommy White, Travinsky, Jones. They're going to be somewheres around 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that's known. The differences I have,
Pearson I think at 2 for me, and Jones would probably be at 5 for me. That would be my differences.
So I literally, so this is what I have, and the reason why I'll have
that takes
Jay Johnson. Jay Johnson is a right left type of guy. He tries to do it as much as he can. So in that aspect, I had Kling righty, Pearson lefty, Tommy White 3-hole righty, Travinsky 4-hole righty. But then to break up Travinsky and Jones, I actually have Neil there. I have Neil there because Neil just has a little opening weekend. I think eventually as the year goes on, if Brown does what he needs to do.
I like your lineup. I like your lineup better than mine already.
Neil 5 and Jones 6. I don't think Jones is ready to be 3, 4. He's not there yet.
I think there's a lot of hype on Jake Brown though, man.
So this is what I'm excited about though. The 7, 8, and 9. If the 7, 8, 9 is Mac Bingham righty, Jake Brown lefty, Braswell righty. If that's your 7, 8, 9, that's who's going to be on base when guys like Tommy White are hitting bombs and Paxton Kling are hitting bombs. So you can't go wrong.
You're right.
I think the bottom of the lineup is actually going to be stronger than certain parts of your lineup. I don't know. Who knows? We're going to be wrong either way. It's not going to be anywhere close. I mean, Tommy White might lead off. Who knows?
You might have Milan.
But I have Kling, Pearson, White, Travinsky, Neil, Jones, Bingham, Brown, Braswell. The triple Bs, I love it. The triple Bs at the end of the lineup. I do have
2 and Jones at 5, right?
That was my personal take.
I do like that. So the other combination I had was Bingham leading off. I saw that in a few scrimmages.
Shout out Chandler.
Bingham, Pearson, White, Travinsky, Neil, Jones, and then Kling, Brown, Braswell, something like that. Kling moving, kind of flipping around in there. I'm high on Jake Brown. I think he's got to prove it in the games.
Most excited. Your 2 most excited pitchers, or the 2 pitchers you're most excited about, and the 1 fielder that you're most excited about not returning.
Guys that are not returning. So a new face, a new face pitcher. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you can't be most excited about Thatcher Hurd.
Yeah. I think Lauer.
Matt.
Lower. Pronounce that. Engage jump.
Nice.
Those 2 guys I'm most excited about. New faces, and then position players. Obviously, I mean Braswell and Bingham's the easy ones. Yeah, I don't know enough about. I mean, Milam.
Milam.
You're getting in your head now over there, Grant.
Milan.
Pearson. Person.
Let's see. Yeah, I mean,
you can't name them all, bro. You already did it. You just
can't
did
name them all. That's it.
I'm most excited about Luke Holman and Cam Johnson on the mound. In the field, I'm most excited to see what Braswell can do and Jake Brown. Those are hopefully those guys can turn it on.
I'll just rock with Fidel.
I love that. Well, I think that's a show.
Serious question. Is everything just gonna stream on ESPN app?
Yeah.
This weekend, yeah. Let's see where the people can find the game.
I'm not tuning in.
He's not going to watch it. He's talking about against Florida.
Yeah, we the people.
On Saturday.
SEC Network Plus. So ESPN app. One last thing. I mean, we didn't really. I guess next week we'll probably break down the weekend, or if we record
what running backs are not
and then I guess we can.
incarcerated.
But eventually we can look at maybe more of the entire league and what we think. I will start that off by just saying, Tennessee's not winning a national championship.
Nice. I agree.
Tennessee's not winning the national championship. I will bet my mortgage on that.
My hot take was that Vitolo, however you say his name, was not going to be the head coach at the end of the season.
Ooh,
because of a scandal with that girl.
Something.
We don't put adultery on anybody, okay?
All I said was scandal.
Yeah, I know. I'll put scandal on someone.
If you had to pick non-LSU, if you had to pick Arkansas, Tennessee, or Florida, or Vandy
to win,
who out of those is more likely to win the championship?
I would.
What's Florida looking like? Is Florida returning a bunch?
Yes.
Yeah.
For me, it's down to Florida and Arkansas, and I would want to say Florida because
Caglione.
They've kind of done it. They've been there more. Their coaches. I mean,
I side with Florida. I think Arkansas. Business. I think Arkansas on paper has the better talent and is going to get the most hype. But when the nuts are on the table, I think it's I'm going to go with the team that's done this a million times, was the runner-ups and has the Golden Spikes winner, Jake Caglione. I think Florida's the squad this season. Hopefully LSU can make some noise against them and rattle some caters, huh?
Yeah, that'd be fun. Wake Forest,
their pitchers are all back except for
that'll be interesting
long-haired guy. He's really good. I mean, we beat them obviously, but defensively,
I don't know if we should.
Defensively, their pitching staff is second to none. I
mean, they're the number one ranked team in every other poll. I think between them and Florida, they're the number ones.
If you look at the mock drafts and the pitchers coming out of college, I think they've got 4 in the top 10.
Yeah, it's absurd.
So
it's absurd.
Anyway,
it's exciting, man.
LSU's right there. Preseason, I mean, the odds to win the whole thing, LSU's right there at 2. Wake Forest, LSU, Arkansas's up there, Florida, Oregon State, TCU, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Clemson, Virginia, A&M, South Carolina,
all baseball
Texas,
schools.
Eastern Carolina, Stanford, Duke, North Carolina, Texas Tech, Coastal Carolina, Iowa, Oklahoma State, North Carolina State, Auburn, Northwestern, UC Irvine. That's your top 25.
One thing to keep an eye out for this weekend. We got 4 games. The weather.
It is weather season.
A lot of people complain. Why are we playing noon game?
Massive weather guy.
Big weather guy.
He's got a weather station.
Does he have a Doppler in his backyard?
100%.
Actually, I'm gonna go find his address. I'm sure I can find the link to his weather station.
He's big on timing of the weather. He changes game times. Didn't he already change this one?
Yeah. It looks like there's looks like it's gonna rain Friday, but it looks like Saturday, Sunday, and Monday are gonna be sunny. So he's good. I think Friday's the only one, based off of my calculations, that could be iffy. But if we're playing early enough, well, there might be some rain at first pitch.
Well, Thatcher better dry up.
Hey, congrats on the Super Bowl, Mike. 1-0, T Swift.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Just trying to dodge the haters. Dude,
You gonna frame that shirt?
It's a good shirt. It's a good shirt, but no, it's a little faded. I needed it on white, not gray. Funny story. Got invited to the neighbor's house for the Super Bowl, right? So this is new, first time shaking hands, introducing selves. Come on over. We're gonna have some people over. It's like,
And
okay.
it was the guy you stuffed dog shit in his shoe.
No, but like listen, Taylor Swift thing. Listen, it's easy now to like poke fun at because like it's the easiest thing to hate on. So it's like, all right, we're gonna embrace this and just like mock people that are making fun of it. So we make these shirts and loud and proud about it. Drew made the shirts. She got one for me. Funny shirt, whatever. It's like a Taylor Swift Super Bowl shirt. We go over to this house, dude. It is like we're pulling 49ers hard in this house. like it is like an anti-Swift, anti-Kelsey, anti-Mahomes, and it gets, and like we're just kind of like, we don't really care. Like I'm, if I had to pick a team, it's like the Saints. If I'm rooting for anything, like I'm not a Kansas City fan, but like we're wearing these shirts.
Really wanted the 49ers to win.
Well, I definitely bet on Kansas City, and that was like the only bet I had. I had Pacheco yards, which didn't hit, but I doubled down at halftime too, because I was like, they're gonna fucking, yeah, I chased it. I was like, you know what, the odds are even better now. Mahomes is gonna pull this out, and I like announced it too. I was like, you know what, I'm doubling down, and dude, they got frustrated. Like there was a point in time they're like, shit, like they're saying like, and these are very calm people. Like these are very strict, calm military people. And so we're in there and they're just rooting for the 49ers. Like we stand up and we're like inching toward the door. Just like, yeah, we'll leave at, after the overtime's done. Not want to overstay our welcome. Dude, like half the guys went outside and we're like watching from like the porch. And I was just like, guys, it's not that big of a deal. Anyway, they come back in after it's over and they're like, congratulations, man. Like it was like a massive defeat. Like they were just like, congratulations, dude. I heard you won big. And I'm like, no, I mean, I had like $50 on it. Like I made $150.
I lost it all on a player prop. So no, I'm fine.
Yeah, but like the whole time it's like, look at that bitch ass Taylor Swift. And Drew and I were just like, okay. Like we're just wearing these shirts. Like
yeah.
We're just like, yeah. I mean, like we like the songs.
Big fat phony, right?
Yeah, it's like, of course we're showing her again. Get off the screen. I'm like, all right, this is getting crazy.
A real tough scene taking the ball to start overtime.
Yeah.
That was brutal.
And not scoring a freaking touchdown.
Is it a hot take to say Shanahan's a fraud?
I mean, dude, he's so good. And he's also like has the 3 biggest blown leads in Super Bowl history.
Zero clutch. He's very much like a Mike McDaniels. Like he knows how to call it, he knows how to develop it, but like in the moment type of shit, he's kind of like a space cadet. They're just taking the ball. Like
taking the ball, I felt like was a massive clown move. But at that point, you still can't kick a field goal. Like as soon as they lined up for that field goal, it's like make or miss, this game's over. Like you're hoping for a Mahomes tip pass interception at this point because you're just gonna give this dude 4 downs to march it down your throat.
Yeah, it was inevitable. Like I felt very confident about that. That it was the worst I'd seen the Chiefs play. And it was just like, okay, towards the end of the second half, like you're going to get the best. Like you're going to get the fucking Super Bowl version of them at some point, and it hit when it mattered.
Well, it's like it's the same thing with Bama. It's like when you're up 10-0 or whatever in the first half, it's like you have to fucking kill these guys. If you let them linger around, they're gonna do what they do.
You can't fumble in the opening drive after pounding it down the field,
and then kind of go away from the run game.
I was about to say it was the I think it was the start of the second quarter. Yeah, The worst thing 49ers did when they were up 10-0, I think, and they threw the ball 6 plays in a row for 2 straight possessions, went
they
3 and
decided
out
to
for
put it in
negative
Purdy's hands.
2
It was like,
yards.
all right,
Shanahan,
take over the game.
same
It's
thing
like,
he did with who was the OC at the Falcons. It's like, dude, just run the ball. That's what you guys do.
With the best running back in the league.
Yeah, he's unstoppable.
And no one was stopping McCaffrey. You could have fed him the ball 35.
And they were wearing out too.
times.
Like they were getting tired and they just started fucking around with Purdy and like making him try to be bigger than he is. And it's like that's not what he's good at. Anyway,
that's all. I had to make sure you got your Taylor Swift, Super Bowl in.
Hey,
that's all.
It was a good win. Honestly, forgot about it the next day. It was just like, all right, on to golf, on to LSU baseball.
Masters is sneaking up on us, boys.
We're here at the Genesis. I mean, like this is Waste Management.
Did you see opening. See Tiger's dead shank today?
On 18.
I don't know what hole it was.
I saw a picture. I didn't see
dead right. Oh, it went dead right. It was so good.
I think someone else did it too.
David Hasselhoff, I think, is what he had.
There was 2 of them that did it today. It was Tiger and then oh god, I forgot the dude's name. The one that like really crouches over the ball, heavy knee bend in his backswing. Younger guy, heavy knee bend.
Wolf?
Ludwig?
No,
Ludwig would never.
We're gonna have to figure this out on air.
Ludwig would never hit a shank. I didn't watch any of the golf today. I did
see
Tiger shank.
Yeah, American guy, Florida guy.
Billy Ho?
Berger.
Ricky.
Oh, Daniel Berger, Florida State guy. Florida State guy.
He shanked today too. Or he shanked at some point, and it was
Adam Shank was +3. He shanked.
Spieth had a little run.
Dude, you took the words out of my mouth, buddy. I held back the Waste Management Open, but boy, do I feel some things with Spieth right now.
Like he's starting good.
We're starting to like the putting is mostly back.
Mostly.
We gotta. Well, I mean, dude, if we're just going
nothing's
on,
guaranteed.
Strokes gain numbers and shit, I completely agree. But like strokes gain numbers, he's like really bad in like the 150 in approach, and everything else, he's like back
dialed.
And God, dude, I'm telling you, man. Also, the trailer for Full Swing drop that got me a little hyped.
I didn't see that one yet.
The first 2 episodes are gonna be like the whatever, live, piff, whatever. And then the last 2 episodes are at the Ryder Cup, which is gonna be sick.
That'll be fun.
Even though US got dick down, like it's gonna be a sick 2 hours of content. That's
How
all
can Scotty still not putt?
It's brutal.
How are we back to this? Like it's 2024 Riviera, and we're doing Scotty can't putt. Like
there's 3-footers.
Those is what I'm talking about. It's the ones that are like,
dude,
the size of my foot.
Like 2 years ago, I was pounding the table trying to tell y'all and anyone who would listen how fucking good Morikawa's iron game was. It's not even close to what Scheffler's done in the past 18 months.
I know.
Like it's not even fucking close.
Like it's like, and we don't talk about it because he's not winning.
He should have like 12 championships in the last 2 years. I still think he's going to be top 3 in the Masters. If you made me pick the Masters right now, I'm telling you, I have a weird feeling Ludwig is just going to fucking just demolish that. Where did
this Ludwig hype come from? How'd you get on him?
TC from No Laying Up got me on Ludwig super early, like 4 years ago. And so I'd be like, oh, I'll check out a little. I used to love waking up early and watching European golf on the Golf Channel back in the day. And like you start seeing this dude, he's just he is like Scotty, like Morikawa, where it's just a flusher's paradise. Like it's so pure, and like it just feels like a course at Augusta that he's gonna have plenty of length, and it's all those like mid-low irons into greens, and that's where he just eats.
Can you imagine being a guy like Scotty and being like, yeah, I've only missed like 5 fairways in the past year.
What was it? 88%?
like
just fucking flying out every
His
swing. It's insane.
bombs always in play, just like every time. And he's an incredible iron player. So he's just like casually just cruising down the golf course in play at all times.
But look, man, we can go back a couple years ago when he won the Masters, and I said, you feel like this shit's gonna last forever, and scar tissue just builds on these guys. And now you can't tell me that anytime Scotty Scheffler steps over a putt of any sort of significance, he's not somewhat shitting his pants at this point.
Oh yeah, that's why he's missing them.
It's like it's just one of those
He can
things
stand
where it's
up on a
like,
tee box and have no problem finding every single fairway he goes 300 plus yards out. But standing over a 3-foot putt, it's like, I can't be a pro. I'm not
So
a
it's
pro in this situation.
it's like, imagine walking into the Masters this year as the best player on the fucking planet, and like you're like, oh, I'm probably gonna come in third because I'm gonna be 1/12 in strokes gained putting this week.
And I
That
just placed
keeps
it, and I just
building.
placed it here from 200 out.
Yeah, and I also just made 800K finishing third, but I don't care anymore. Like it's just golf is such a weird mental thing that it's like it worries me with him. And you know I like Scotty, not as much as you, but I like Scotty.
I love Scott. I'm getting frustrated that he's just Phil Mickelson. It's just like, oh, this dude's really fucking good, but like the trophy case could be so much more.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. I knew when he beat the shit out of Rahm on the final day of the Ryder Cup 2 years ago, like this dude's got something, and he's done it since then. But I'm worried we're all of a sudden we're gonna. Well, what I think is gonna happen
We've seen the best of Scotty.
Well, we're just gonna look back at the end of the year and be like, yeah, I mean, he top 10'd every major, but he didn't win.
Yeah,
and it's like, then all of a sudden it's 3 years go by and you haven't won a major, and then all of a sudden there's 7 more dudes who are better than you, or just like you, younger and like on the scene, and all of a sudden it's like, oh man, I thought Scotty was gonna have 8 majors. He's got 2. Golf's weird.
If he wins another major this year, would you cement him as one of the best ever?
I mean, dude, I think it's clear. I really like Rahm, but Rahm's done. Rahm's with Live. I think it's like massively clear that he is like the best golfer on the planet. Like there was a brief moment where you could talk about like a Justin Thomas and like, name off guys, Morikawa winning 2 out of whatever. But it's like those windows close. You think because it's golf and it's like, well, you don't have to be like super athletic. You can play forever. And it's like the guys like Phil and Tiger who have these 20-year fucking careers is just such an anomaly. Yeah, especially now that like golf's so much bigger and actual like athletes are wanting to play golf. It's just windows are weird. Well, I would have told you Spieth had 6 majors by now. Without even look at Rory.
Spieth is one of those guys that's just like a case study on doing it so young, but still being good enough to continue being at like the top echelon of golfers, right? He's in the top 30 golfers, but like at one time, people were sitting around and having conversations how we are talking about Scotty Scheffler, about Jordan Spieth, but probably even more, right? To a bigger extent. And here we are 10 plus years later, and it's like, ooh, he's getting close at Riviera. It's like that's just crazy.
I distinctly remember it was after Rory won the PGA at, God, I'm not going to be able to come up with the course. He was still wearing like the giant loud Nike stuff. And I was driving back to Baton Rouge, and I called Joey because we used to bet in all these best balls. And I was like, dude, there's no one beating Rory. Like Rory's going to have 10 majors before we know it. And he just like he's won like 1 since then. It's just, it's so weird. And there's
guys like Wyndham Clark that are just coming out of nowhere that you don't really know about. Then all of a sudden it's like, boom, this guy wins the US Open, and now he's finishing top 5s, and it's like, is he a guy that goes on a run here?
He could be a guy that would win a major this year again. When he's on, he's really, really good.
Willie Z back in form after taking some time off. He is on the leaderboard after day 1 out at the Riv.
I'm all for it. I like him.
I love Willie Z.
The rumors of Anthony Kim return. I know this was way before y'all's time, but Anthony Kim had a little bit of that magic in him at one point in time. It'd be great. I want him back.
Speaking of a Gim, Doug Gim.
Doug Gim.
Doug is a good little player that's kind of squirreling his way on the scene. You know who I like? It is Miwoo Lee, I believe.
Minwoo Lee.
The guy from Australia, but he's Asian. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, that guy. He's cool. He can fucking stroke the ball too. He's going to come on the scene this year. I think Thagala is going to make.
He's going to do what? Right?
He's going to come on the scene.
Oh wow!
All over the scene.
Minwoo Lee.
Interesting. Speaking of, let's have a day, folks. Jason Day.
Oh, is he? So he'll take the rest of the weekend off.
Yeah. Let's not get carried away here.
What were you saying? You're pretty sure what?
I don't remember where I was going with that, but I was going to say I'm pretty sure Doug Gim was like one of those like kid prodigies at golf, and then just like disappeared, and now he's like back.
Oh,
I think. I was going to say I'm really like bummed that Rahm's gone. Like that's weird.
I'm bummed that honestly I miss fucking Bryson DeChambeau. I know that's a hot take. I
hate him. I agree with you.
Scene.
The
I miss the content. I miss tuning into golf and being like, this is very professional. And then, there's Bryson. Let's see what he's doing today. Like it's
talking about the coefficient of restitution.
Yeah. And then him pulling off a major. It's like, this is kind of crazy. It's cool. I miss having those dudes on the PGA Tour. Fuck Liv, dude.
Yeah. It's your boy Cam Smith.
That's my boy, dude. Like I finally jumped on a train early, like the Scotty Scheffler thing, and it's like gonna make it my fucking guy, and then he bails. It's just like I don't follow you now.
Yeah, I would hope something with that will come, because it's like, I'll watch Riviera this weekend. I'll have it on all day tomorrow. But it's just like, I don't know, it's missing something without Brooks, without Bryson, without Rahm, without Cam Smith, without. Isn't Terrell Hatton gone now?
Hatton's gone. DJ,
DJ. I completely forgot DJ was a fucking golfer, and
that's what's gonna happen with those live guys. Like we're gonna forget who Cam Smith is. Like he won the other day.
Scheffler.
But then you're gonna pull up an article one day and it's gonna be like, DJ selling his $175 billion house on Zillow.
Especially someone like DJ, who is never been, and Brooks, who's never been shy about I like the money part of golf. It's not, I don't blame them at all. But it's Dustin Johnson was Scotty Scheffler. It's like, oh my God, if this dude could fucking putt, he'd have 100 majors.
And there he goes.
And I completely forgot he was I didn't even cross my mind to say the name Dustin Johnson in the last 10 minutes that we've been talking about.
They go to live and they just don't give a shit. I mean, Brooks is fat,
which is fair.
DJ doesn't care. Cam Smith looks like he's worn the same fucking outfit for 2 years. Like there's no give a fuck anymore. And I wouldn't either if I'm getting paid $500,000, half a bill to be
hang out with Kevin Na and fucking
for a handful of events and go fucking pop champagne for the cameras. Like, hey, make this look cool. Like that's essentially what the Saudis are doing. Like, hey, here's a ton of money. Just act like you're enjoying yourself. We don't really care what happens here. And that's the extent of live. And we don't really get to witness it. What is it on? Fucking CW or something? I don't even know. How do you watch it?
I think the CW or the app is the only way. I don't ever even think about it. Live, I've told y'all forever. It's like team golf is my favorite golf to watch. I love when the college championships are on, the match play, that kind of stuff is just Live just seems such bullshit. Live just seems like a fake exhibition of the match on a grander scale. And it's like, I'm done watching Tom Brady and fucking Steph Curry play golf. That was cool.
And talk to us while they're walking down the fucking, we get it, dude. No more small talk. Oh, man. Yeah. But that's what sucks about the PGA. But we're here. We're back. The season is upon us. The Masters is upon us. Waste management was wild. But just we talked about, depleted field, a guy like fucking Nick Taylor wins it.
the waste management has lost it, like lost the plot, totally out of control. They actually tweeted while I was, scrolling Twitter through most of you guys' baseball talk, and they like released a statement that like, we know things got to change, guys.
They said they had 500,000 people on the course at one time.
The
The
weather delays
capacity.
fuck them. Like,
Yeah.
that 100%, because then it's just like, oh, if you have a ticket, come in. But like, also, it's gotten completely out of control.
And I know this has been said.
Oh, the Players is a month from now. Let's fucking go.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I might go to that. I think it's only a couple hours away.
Yeah, that wouldn't be that far from you.
Tallahassee or Jacksonville?
It's in Ponte Vedra,
which is close to.
I do not know. I can.
I think it's close to Jacksonville, maybe. But while you're looking that up, yeah, we're in the meat of this season now. It's golf season. I do wish that a lot of these live players were back to make it more interesting, but
TPC Sawgrass
Why don't they just
is.
schedule more?
Someone tell us in the chat.
It's like south of Jacksonville Beach. Does that help you? It's like probably 50, 80 miles from like Neptune, Jacksonville Beach area.
What they need to do is kind of like college football with bowl games and all this shit. Like, do more, handful of Ryder Cup formats of Live versus PGA. I'd watch it.
Like a Ryder Cup.
Yeah. Like do like 3 or 4 Ryder Cup formats throughout the year.
What they do at the Louisiana tournament, whatever it's called. It says it's 5 hours from Niceville. I know that's in your general area.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm gonna have to bounce soon, guys.
Yeah, I think we can end it there.
I think you, Grant. I mean, I understand that you got to go. I'm looking at. Oh, I see us. Nice. Palm Valley Golf Club.
What? No, it's just called TPC Sawgrass.
You're right. Jeez. Sorry, I'm drifting off on Google here. Palm Valley. Yeah.
There's an old course, but I think they're like very close to each other.
Grant, thanks so much for the baseball pod. We'll cut this last half.
I'm not cutting shit. I'm not taking the time to do that. I'll post
Brett,
it.
Go ahead and stay up for the next hour and just kind of clip this stuff up and
no thanks.
Chop down the last half. All right,
guys. See you next time.
VMI.